Continuing to listen to The Exam Room, brought to you by the Physicians Committee. Quick plug before we get into holiday party temptations, how to avoid it. At PCRM, that's us on Twitter. And if you want to learn more about the podcast, get this week's recipes. Lee, actually, she just whipped up some incredible things that we went out on the street. We're going out on the street. We're going to have people guess what they are. I think that there's a silk pie in there. There's a chocolate cupcake. One's made with cauliflower. And I forget what the secret ingredient is on the second. Sweet potato. Absolutely no dairy in that. It's just incredible what she was able to do. Anyway, we're going to go talk to people on the street, have them guess which one is vegan. Of course, they both are. But we'll get into that a little bit later. Right now, 'tis the season. Holiday parties, office, family. Not many of them are actually plant-based. So if you're considering going plant-based, if you are already plant-based, a ton of temptation out there. How in the world do you possibly deal with that? How do you keep from falling off the wagon? So we're going to bring back dietitian Maggie Neola, hopefully going to get us to the solution to that, because this is a big problem for a lot of people. What's your advice? I mean, I know that that's such a broad question, but like at an office party, there are so many. We have ours next week. There are so many of these. Temptation is everywhere. What do you do?
Temptation is everywhere, so how can you minimize it?
Right.
How can you develop other options to have there, and so that you don't have to fall into temptation? It's really important to be able to bring food with you, to talk about what you're doing, and also take the focus off food as well, and more on the company that's around you.
So is that your advice, to actually bring food to the office party?
Yeah, if you're allowed to, I definitely recommend bringing a dish to share. And that goes with any type of party, not just office parties as well. But yeah, and then requesting as well. If you have the option to put in your requests for what is available at the office party, a lot of times that's an option. That is a great way to ensure you have something to eat and not feel excluded. What
about family gatherings? Because in my family, not everybody is plant-based. Matter of fact, it's just my wife and I. Everybody else is, still on the traditional diet. So you go to a family gathering and it's just, Christmas hams, Christmas turkeys, Christmas whatever, cheese, crackers. I mean, just the whole nine. Again, temptation everywhere. You may even get some pressure from your family to, eat some of that stuff. So what is your recommendation in dealing with that and the pressures that come along with it?
The pressure is definitely going to come. And so recognizing that ahead of time and having some go-to answers for, hey, that's really nice of you to offer, but I'm trying out this way of eating, and I'd like to be able to stick to that even during the holiday season. Let's role play.
Hold on. All right. So you're going to be the vegan. I'm going to be the pressuring family member. Okay. All right. Try some of this ham. It's delicious. It's the best thing ever. Put it on a cracker. Add some cheese. I'm telling you, it's out of this world. One little bit isn't going to hurt you.
Wow, I'm sure that sounds so delicious, but that's something I don't really want to eat anymore, and I appreciate the offer though.
Who doesn't eat ham? It's Christmas. Christmas and ham, they're synonymous with one another. What's wrong with you?
Well, there's not too many things that are wrong with me, but
So is there something wrong with me? Is that what you're saying?
Definitely not. No, I appreciate the offer, but that's just something that I'm not really interested in eating right now. How about we go and check out some of these other options that are available?
Not bad. Not bad at all. You deal very well with the pressure.
Thank you. I've had a lot of experience.
But seriously, though, I would think that at a family gathering, it would be a lot easier to bring your own dish, correct?
Definitely. And I actually have a success from that specifically. A couple of years ago on Thanksgiving, my great uncle came, and cousin and grandma. We had our typical crew there. And I asked my mom if I would be able to modify our typical Thanksgiving dishes just a little bit, where we'd still have, some of those things we're familiar with, but maybe give it a little bit of a flair, add in a different type of vegetable. So I decided, Brussels sprouts, they're very common around that time of year.
Sure.
And they're a little more trendy nowadays. So I saw this recipe for miso glazed Brussels sprouts and decided, let's give it a try. It seems pretty simple, and it can add something new to our table that we haven't had before. So I did. We made it. They turned out delicious. And afterward, my great uncle, who is over 60 years old, had them and said, wow, these are really good. I've never had Brussels sprouts before in my life. What? And I was like, that's a win. I gave him something new. It was super nutritious, and it wasn't even the, let's pull the vegan card. That was vegan. I actually like the vegan food. No, it's just they're Brussels sprouts. They're really good.
That's crazy. Hold on. I need to back it up. So he's in his 60s and he had never in his life eaten Brussels sprouts?
Never.
Wow.
Yeah.
He must have been one of those kids that grew up with the stigma that Brussels sprouts just taste horribly.
Possibly. It's probably the case. So it's such a fun opportunity to introduce new foods to your family, and you never know. You could be 80 and still be trying new foods.
Now, I hate to be Debbie Downer, but I would imagine, though, that there has been a time when it didn't quite go so well. How did you handle that?
There has been. If it doesn't go so well, just think about it this way. You have leftovers, and you can enjoy them later. But here's what happened. I went to a potluck with a bunch of friends, and I brought a different dish, and I came a little bit late. That was my number one problem, is that most of the people had already gone through the line, and I put out my food, and everyone else is like, there's less people who actually were still getting food. And then I also maybe put it out when the less health conscious people were coming down the line.
Yeah.
So whenever they see something green, that seems to be healthy, even
Sure.
if it's not. So it wasn't received very well, but I took that challenge as an opportunity to think about a way that I can improve for next time and to just enjoy some leftovers the rest of the week.
And you did improve next time.
Yeah, I definitely did. So
A little bumpy start, but then smooth sailing afterward, right?
That's right.
So let's talk actionable items here. I know that's kind of a fun word to say, actionable.
Mm-hmm.
Give me some tips. Like if you were going to go with your top 3 tips that you're going to tell somebody that you work with upstairs, one of your patients, this is what you do for an office party. What are your top 3?
Office party. I would say if you think that people are going to push certain foods on you, to always be holding a plate with food on it. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to eat it, but at least looks like you're engaged with that part of the party that's going on. The second tip would be to try and spend time with other activities at the party. Maybe there's a game or karaoke or something along those lines.
That's dangerous at an office party, the karaoke.
Yeah. But if there's a different activity that's not food related, that is always a good way to avoid that temptation.
Mm-hmm.
The other part is to bring a dish with you and put it near the front of the line so that when people are loading up their plates, they still have room on it to put something on there, right? So they have that first exposure to something delicious and plant-based rather than if it's at the end of the line, they're not going to take it because their plate's already full.
Right. Wow, that's genius.
Mm-hmm.
Product placement. I love it.
Yeah.
Here's the other difficult thing that I'm wondering is that at some office parties, obviously, alcohol is served and that lowers people's inhibitions. So is there a way that people who do imbibe in alcohol can kind of keep their willpower without craving? Do you have any sort of recommendation there? I know that's a tough one to answer.
Mm-hmm. I would say as much as you can, eat before you go. That way, that hunger isn't even there, so you don't have to worry about it if you are consuming alcohol. Or somehow have a limit on alcohol as well. That would be a good thing for everyone.
Yeah, that's a good idea regardless, right?
Regardless, yes.
What about with the family? Because again, I mean, you're going to get more pressure.
Mm-hmm.
The dynamic, it's just different with family. So I would imagine then that you would do some things that are a little bit different. Obviously, you would bring your own dish, but where in the top 3 would that rank, and then what would the other 2 be?
So I would look at if you're able to talk to whoever's planning the menu ahead of time. Planning is a good thing in many aspects of life, of course. But if you can talk with the person who is developing the menu for that day and just like, hey, just want to let you know in case you don't already, I'm following some certain dietary guidelines, and I'd like to be able to enjoy the food as well and be part of the family gathering. Can we talk about what's on the menu? Can we see if there's some small tweaks we can make so that everybody has something to eat?
That's pretty good. Bring your own dish. And what else? Give me one more that the listeners can walk away with.
Oh, man, with family, I would say as much as you can, respond thankfully and gracefully with whatever they offer you. Family is, always there, but always can be more challenging to not get upset with at the same time, because they're close to you, that they'll forgive you more easily.
Right.
So if there's a way to still extend Thanksgiving and grace to them, even when they disappoint or exceed your expectations as well.
Yeah, I think that, and we'll close with this, the thing that I think is important, especially for new vegans, people considering to go vegan, there's a whole lot of enthusiasm there, and you may feel like, and you may not even notice it, but you try to pressure others to adopt the philosophy and the changes that you just made. You try to force that on them. I don't think that that's necessarily the smartest idea, especially in this setting.
Yeah, you definitely want to be able to have open conversations with them that are not forceful, and just a way to communicate that says, like, hey, this is what I'm doing. I'd love to tell you about it so you can know more about what's going on in my life, instead of you need to do this too.
Well, Maggie Neola, thank you so much for your time. You are a wonderful, wonderful addition to this podcast, and you came with some very good tips that hopefully will get people ready for the holiday season, and even more so, things that they can carry over into the new year.
Thank you.